Um, what the heck was that game we just watched between the Dodgers and the Rays? I don't know. All I do know is we got Ulises Sambrano from Locked On Rays to do a Locked On MLB, Locked On Rays crossover. Let's start it up.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Memorial Day, everybody, and hello, baseball fans, and welcome to a Locked On MLB, Locked On Rays crossover episode being recorded and dropped here on Sunday, the 28th day of May, 2023. It is a special Sunday episode because we had a special game that was going on that we could not have go by without a comment. Hey, I am the host of Locked On MLB. My name is Sully. And joining me on the screen is why don't you tell everyone? You're capable. It's a crossover.
Well, thank you for having me, Sully. I'm Ulises Sambrano, co-host of the Locked On Rays podcast, and it is a tremendous time always to be with you, Sully. So thank you for the invite.
Well, look at the Rays are looking like a championship team, and a championship team is about every player being a perfect fit. Same for your vehicle. So for parts that fit, head to eBay Motors and look for the green check. Stay in the game with eBay Motors Guaranteed Fit, ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available for U.S. customers. Sorry, Blue Jay fans. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Hey, this is a rare Sunday drop, but it's Memorial Day weekend, and what we saw unfold today, or I actually heard it. I took my dog to the dog park, and my dog is now exhausted because I wasn't going to leave the dog park till that craziness was over. Wow, it just ended about maybe half an hour ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was excited about this series. Dodgers, Rays,
Yeah.
Potential World Series matchup going on there. If this is what the World Series is going to look like, yes, please. This was banana boats. The final score was 11-10.
Yeah.
This game would have been crazy if it was played on an Xbox with cheat codes.
It felt like that. Yeah.
All right, tell me your thoughts, because I'm watching it. I'm listening to it with my dog as kind of as a neutral observer.
Yeah.
As a Rays fan, you score 11 runs against the Dodgers, you assume that you're cruising to a victory.
Well, it's just like you draw it up. You score 11 runs, you only let in 10, and then you win. That's the Rays baseball. No, but it was tremendous, man. This whole homestand was a test for the Rays. You first start with the Milwaukee Brewers, who were first in their division at the time, and you win 2 out of 3. Then you get the Toronto Blue Jays, who everybody just cannot help themselves but just sing praises of, a team that's not done anything for the last 3 years, but they get so much love and without any results whatsoever. Maybe you, Sully. Maybe you.
I'm guilty.
Okay. And they haven't done anything. They haven't done anything but get swept in the 2020 playoffs and get swept at home in the 2022 playoffs. But they take 3 out of 4 from the Toronto Blue Jays, and then come the big bad LA Dodgers, who, of course, it's a 2020 World Series rematch. And the Rays take the first one handily, 9-3. They lose the one-run game yesterday on Saturday. And then this one was just a boxing match. It was just a bloodbath. Who can take the most punches? And at the end, it was like, okay, whose bullpen can just hold a 0 for just a little bit?
And for anyone who wasn't watching the game, and it was the Peacock breakfast game, so it was here in Los Angeles. It started at 8:30 in the morning. The Dodgers took the Dodgers took a 3-1 lead, and then Siri hit the triple, and then it was just hit after hit. I have the scoring thing here, and somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot. Franco got that hit." Then Paredes, who Paredes is in every highlight reel. I don't understand why I thought his slash line was going to be 1,000, 1,000, 1,000 based upon the highlight reels, because he's always in there.
Yeah.
And then Paredes got the double, and then he homered later.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just got to the point when it was like it was 10-7 or 10-8 at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And an interesting thing, because it was the sort of thing that you would potentially second guess as it was happening. But for some reason, I kind of nodded at Kevin Cash and go like, kind of like the Donald Pleasance at the end of Halloween when he sees that Michael Myers is gone. That little nod of
Right.
which was Fleming, who had I can prove in a court of law had a bad game. He allowed 8 runs in 6 innings. He
Yeah.
let up 15 base runners, and yet he pitched 6 innings. Now, granted, they left him in there till he got up the game tying home run to, was it Trace Thompson or JD Martinez? Forgive me.
Pick a
I
name.
kind of lost track after
Pick
a while.
name. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but then the thing I found interesting was that, okay, he let him in. Ostensibly, he let him in too long, but then you said, wait a minute, this was an 11-10 game,
Mm-hmm.
and the Rays only used 3 pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a parade of relievers.
Yeah.
And apparently Fairbanks hurt himself warming up in the bullpen, and they said, okay, I was listening to the Dodger announcers saying okay, Hayward is coming up, so obviously they're going to bring in a lefter. I said, no, they left Adam in. Trust your pitchers. They got 6 innings out of Fleming, a bad 6 innings, but sometimes you got to be able to say, hey, we can't have our bullpen throw 7 innings a game.
Yeah.
And eventually Adam facing Jason Hayward, they're like, we'll pitch to him.
Yeah.
And then he gets a pretty easy final inning for the save. And so I actually admired Cash for saying, I don't care if Fleming's getting his lunch handed to him.
He was.
It's we're handing their lunch back to them. So even if it's if you went in saying okay, if you went into this game, I'm promising I'm filibustering here, but if you went into this game saying Fleming was going to give you 6 innings and it would be tied going into the 7th, and I would ask every Rays fan, would you take that?
Yeah.
Every single Rays fan would say yes. So in a way, that's exactly what happened.
Yes, and look, let's peel back the onion a little bit to understand this decision. So the Rays come in with arguably the best starting 5, right? On paper, which everything is on paper until the games are played, right? So you've got, before spring training, Glasnow, Rasmussen, McClanahan, Springs, and then the biggest free agent signing they've ever done in Zach Eflin. I mean, you look at that top 5, and I'll put that top 5 with anybody, right?
Against anyone.
You lose Glasnow before spring training gets started. You lose Springs, who was pitching like a Cy Young for the whole year on Tommy John. You lose Drew Rasmussen, who again was pitching like a Cy Young guy, who you might get if you're lucky back in September, but you might not get him back. Zach Eflin goes on the IL for back issues. And so now you have to kind of be like, okay, Tash Bradley, I know you're 22, but can you give us some spots here? Johnny Chirinos, I know you just came back from Tommy John last year, but can you do something for us? Josh Fleming, hey, dude, can you be a bulk guy for us? Like, so they've been kind of been really set back by these injuries in the starting rotation, which has then leaked into how effective the bullpen is, because if your starters are not all healthy, then you might be starting to get a lot more help and a lot more pitches being thrown by the relief corps. And usually the bullpen is one of the biggest strengths that the Rays have historically. But ever since that, I went deep, because as a Rays fan, when the bullpen isn't working, it's very obvious because it always works. So when it's not working, you're like, okay, I can't talk crap about the Rays hitting. It's the best offense in the game.
Unbelievable.
Base running, my goodness, they're running wild with effectiveness too. So you can't talk about the base running.
By the way, I don't know if you follow me on Twitter at Sully Baseball. At one point, I tweeted out today, retweet if you've stolen a base against the Dodgers today, because it seemed like they were just stealing at will.
Yeah,
I mean, and it put the Dodgers on the Dodgers were playing really. These are the Dodgers, for goodness sakes. We're
Yeah.
probably going to win 100 games, probably going to, be as good a shot to win the pennant as anyone. And they were on their heels the whole game, and the Rays were just taking advantage of it. Like, we'll just take another base. We'll just take another base.
And
And not playing smart, not getting to the base fast enough, not holding anyone on.
no, and Dodgers have been having that problem for the whole season. It's not so the Rays knew that coming in, and they said, like, we can exploit that. So you can't talk badly about the Rays offense. You can't talk badly about the base running. The defense is impeccable. Today there were a couple mistakes there by Jose Siri, but overall,
But there were also some great catches and great plays too.
Yes, there were. Yeah. But then it falls down into the bullpen. And so when I looked back, ever since they played that last game in Chicago against the White Sox, there was
for those who don't remember, that was the one where the White Sox scored like 7 runs with 2 outs, and it ended with the Andrew Vaughn home run.
Yes, thank you very much. It's exactly that game. Ever since that game, Sully, the bullpen ranks last in F4, ranks last in K per 9, ranks last in home runs per 9, last in WHIP, last in FIP. It's not a good time for
last in blip, last in zip,
and everything.
Last in glip.
So the point is that this is the flaw right now, and so this is why, to go back to the original point, this is why Josh Fleming needed to get through 6 innings.
Well, look at this is going to actually lead us seamlessly into segment number 2, but it does seem like the Rays bullpen needs a little boost of energy. And if they need one, may I recommend Built Bars? Because if you need to have that energy, but you don't want all the sugar, you don't want all the calories, Built's the way to go. And Ulysses, Built Bars are fantastic. They taste great. They're healthy for you. And you eat when you think, oh, this can't possibly be good for me. That's where you're wrong. Now, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right. Real chocolate, and they come in great flavors: churro, peanut butter brownie, cookies and cream. My favorite is the raspberry. I love the raspberry and the chocolate. It's fantastic. Again, I don't know how Built does it. Despite what everyone thinks, I am not a scientist. I am not in the lab making them. But these bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros. You like advanced stats? Well, guess what? They have only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and a whopping 17 grams of protein. They lead the league in WAPB. WAPB. Wins above protein bar. Okay, I couldn't figure out a name right there.
That was pretty good, though.
That was not bad. Wins against replacement bar. I think I screwed that one up. Look, you don't need to wait to get your box. When you used to have them delivered, I still get them delivered. I look out the window. My dog and I looking out, waiting for the mailman to show up. For years, that's how we did it. But now, go to your local Walmart. Go to your local Sam's Club. You get your specialty flavors at Built.com. Go to your Walmart today. Walk to the pharmacy. Said, I demand Built Bars. And said, they're right over there, sir. No need to make a fuss. You get a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, coconut puff, which was my wrestling name, by the way. And if you're close to a Sam's Club, you can pick up a 13-bar box of our hit flavors, brownie batter, churro puff. You can thank me later. Oh, we love our Built Bars, and every day we sing that song, Built Bars, they're still good. We're here with Ulises Sambrano of Locked On Rays. Now, this is our second segment. Okay, the Rays just won a game that could only be quantified as cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yes.
But you're right. This was a gauntlet situation for the Rays to show, okay, did we go on this amazing start? When you see sometimes teams get off to a fantastic start and then they wound up, stubbing their toe at one point. Mm-hmm. Well, they faced first place Milwaukee and first place Los Angeles, and they only dropped 2 games. And they played off of the weaknesses of those teams. Now we're going into the second third of the season. The first third is basically opening day to Memorial Day.
Yeah,
great. You can't ask for. They're on pace to win 114 games. They're playing over 700 ball. They have 10-game leads over teams. I mean,
yeah,
you couldn't ask for a better first third if you had a genie, just in terms of the binary wins and losses. But like you said, as you go into the second third of the season, this is really the critical third, which is building on the momentum, but also filling in the gaps. This is when the second third of the season is basically Memorial Day to the trade deadline. The first third, you figure out what you are and what the problems are. The second third, you try to solve those problems, and the last third is, all right, we're taking this port home. So between now and the trade deadline, let's start to think. You were mentioning the fact that after the meltdown against Andrew Vaughn in Chicago, that their bullpen has not been as strong. And obviously they could use an innings-eating pitcher because a strong rotation helps you from having a weak bullpen.
Right.
What do you think they need to do? And can they find any of their reinforcements from within before eventually going out to make trades?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Look, if you look at the rotation right now, it just got a very good boost with Tyler Glass now getting back.
Which reminds me of Built. Oh, we already did the read. Sorry.
Exactly. So look at the rotation now. You have Shane McClanahan, Tyler Glass now, Zach Eflin. That's a really good three to give you length.
Provided they stay healthy.
Provided they stay healthy. So those three guys, okay, you feel good about it. Now, number 4 and number 5 spots. The number 4 goes to Tash Bradley, the young phenom, 22 years old. Let's see if he can continue his nice start to his major league career. Again, there will be bumps on the road because 22-year-olds have bumps in the road when they're in MLB. The 5th spot, now you can kind of play matchups. Josh Fleming, Yonny Chirinos, that's in-house, AAA kind of depth. Can they go out there and find a guy that's not too expensive that can give them some innings? I wouldn't doubt it. However, if the Drew Rasmussens of the world do come back late August and September, is that really needed for you? In my opinion, I think the Rays should really look into middle leverage bullpen guys that can give you that 5th, 6th, 7th inning that you need when the starter doesn't give you a lot of kind of like a Jalen Beeks type. Can you face 6 hitters, 6 batters and get those outs? A high leverage arm is going to be very costly, like especially, the Hendricks of the world. Like that's very, very, it's a very prized possession. However, if there is a team that can find a hidden gem in a bullpen that nobody's talking about, that is the Tampa Bay Rays bullpen. Do you remember that trade in 2019 when they got Nick Anderson from the Miami Marlins? Nobody remembered Nick Anderson as the Marlins, and then he just became the best closer in baseball for the next 2 years. And he only cost Jesus Sanchez. And by the way, they got another piece in Trevor Richards, who's still with the Blue Jays. So the point is, you don't have to trade your top position players like Curtis Mead or Kyle Manzardo to get a big name closer, an Alexis Diaz or a Liam Hendricks. You don't have to do that. The Rays are very good at finding those guys that nobody's talking about. Lucas Sims from the Cincinnati Reds, and pinpoint those guys from somebody who's not that expensive in the prospect world, a Vidal Brujan, a Jonathan Aranda, and then make that swap and hopefully get some depth that way.
Yeah, I mean, the Rays are so many times like a zombie movie where you think that they're down and then someone else comes up. But you're right, the Rays have a knack for, and I think this may have to do with their scouting department, may have to do with their analytics. I don't know what it is, but to sort of see that guy on someone else's team who's being underutilized and saying, if we get this guy for a bag of junior mints and make this one adjustment, you're not asking him to be the second coming of Mariano Rivera. You're not asking him to be the second coming of Roy Halladay. You're just asking him to be, hey, you fill this specific role. And in a way, it almost this is going to sound weird, but it almost reminds me of what Phil Jackson used to do with the Bulls, which was, we have our star. Don't worry. Your job is this. You focus on that. That is your job.
Yeah.
And we don't need to do anything other than that. You were making, when you were describing what they need, you're right. They don't need to blow up their farm system. And yes, I'm probably Dylan Cease or some other people are going to be available.
Sure.
And a team like the White Sox are going to ask for a lot if they're going to trade away Lucas Giolito or Dylan Cease or someone or Kopech or whoever it is, they'll probably trade away. And the Rays are, nah, we don't need that. There's a guy on the Brewers that no one's noticing.
And if you're the Rays, look, if I ask you to name the DNA for the Rays since 2008 when they turned it all around, it's pitching and defense. That's
Right.
been the whole thing. And everybody's like, oh, they never score runs. 2021, best offense in franchise history and in the league. It was ridiculous, that 2021 lineup. Then 2023, you've seen how they are basically number one in every category. It's been insane. But those 2 years have been the outliers, right? So you can't trade a Kyle Manzardo who is killing it in AAA. You can't just trade a Curtis Mead who could have that gives you images of flashbacks of Evan Longoria's stance when he was a young rookie. You can't just trade away those bats because usually you don't have those prized possessions. And just for a rental, for a Lucas Giolito that's going to pitch for you, 40 innings, you can't really do that. So
right.
I'm hoping that that's where the Rays are going. The front office is, what can we inject in that bullpen, either be it high leverage or middle inning guys that don't cost so much that we can turn them into high leverage arms.
And also, I think what happens sometimes is I think, and again, despite rumors, I've never been a major leaguer, but there must be something to being on a team that's going nowhere to suddenly on a team that's playing for something. And to have someone say to you, we believe in you if you make this one adjustment.
Yes.
You could contribute. You have your role on the team. And I think that's kind of the key and kind of what you're saying, that they don't need, they're still going to have this incredibly rich and abundant farm system.
Yeah.
And they are going to pick someone's pocket. But I'm now going to do, okay. We're going to play a role game. I'm going to be playing, you're going to be playing, what's the Rays general manager?
Peter Bendix.
Okay. You're Peter Bendix. I'll play the role of any other GM. Okay, we're gonna play a little game.
Okay,
and we're gonna ring, and like your line, I'll say hello, and your line is, "Hi, we'd like to trade for one of your pitchers." Okay. I'm gonna show you what every other GM should do.
Let's do it. Okay.
Ring, ring. Hello.
Hey, this is Peter Bendix. I just want to talk to you about a pitcher you might have there. Oh man,
what's we gotta do? Hang up
again. It happened again. Look, it happened.
Hang up. Hang up.
They're
trying to fleece you.
JT Chagua, when they came from the Mariners and the Giants, they were both having not so great seasons. They came and they both said the same thing. It's a different atmosphere in the clubhouse, knowing that, first of all, you're playing for something. And second of all, when they tell you, hey, that slider, we like that slider. Throw it 90% of the time and you're going to get the results that we need. And then you do. And then the results follow along. They got Lewis Head, a dude that was selling solar panels, and he threw 35 innings for a 2.34 ERA. Like, they can do whatever the heck they want with pitching. So again, you don't have to blow it up. You just need to get those hidden gems that are littered all over MLB. And hopefully they get a couple. Look, for example, Jake Diekman, a guy that has terrific stuff, just has had a lot of command issues in his playing time. And with the Red Sox, the White Sox, I think he was with the Phillies in the beginning. He just never had the walks under control. He's coming to the Rays, and he's looking really good. There's something about that Rays pitching lab that they know what to say to the player, and they can put him, like you were saying, and Phil Jackson there, in the best position to succeed.
Confidence in the pitcher. They feel confident. They have a clear role. So they're like, okay, if I do this, I have a job. Instruction. What am I doing wrong? You're doing this wrong. Mm-hmm. Those three things. And the Rays have a knack for doing that.
Yeah, and hopefully they just need a couple. They don't need a lot. If you look at the base running, the defense, the rotation, the hitters, everything's working just fine. I mean, they've got like 5 dudes that have a 900 OPS plus over a 900 OPS. There you go, over a 900 OPS. I mean, they've got 3 legitimate 2020 guys in Josh Lowe, Randy Rosarena, and Wander Franco. It's silly. I mean, what they're doing, and they have 3 guys that could get MVP votes in Randy Arozarena, Yandy Diaz, and Wander Franco.
And Isaac Paredes is in every other highlight reel.
Exactly. So, and even Taylor Walls, a guy that had a 65 WRC plus last year, or to put it more in colloquial baseball traditional stats, he had a 160 average. This is a guy that you were like, oh man, he's batting again. Dude was just voted last month as an MLB all-team player at third base. The guy has just exploded onto the scene offensively. So everything is going right. You just need to put in a couple more arms in that bullpen, and then you can see them even take off more than they have.
We're here with doing a crossover of Locked On MLB, Locked On Rays. I find it interesting. You have the 2 teams who everyone moans about their stadium, need them to get a new stadium and everything like that. Oakland and Tampa Bay, 2 teams that were both playoff teams at the beginning of this decade. Let's just say they're having very different seasons right now. The A's may not win 40.
Yeah.
I don't see them winning 50. I mean, they're on pace to have the worst season since before the formation of the American League.
That's unreal, man.
And I'm very sad about that because I spend a lot of time up north. I love going to A's games, and the A's fans who show up are off the charts passionate. Likewise, the Rays play in the much maligned Tropicana Field. Their fans never get the credit for being as devoted because people equate attendance size with passion of the fans. Rays fans are some of the best fans in the world, who they go crazy about their team, and they keep hearing all the insults about themselves and say, "Effort, we're still showing up." These Rays are on pace to win 100, certainly 110 games or something like that. I think right now they're on pace to win 115. I think they'll probably slow down from that. I think you'd probably be happy with a triple-digit win total. But there's still, I personally, obviously we know the A's are going to move to Las Vegas. I personally think the Rays should stay in Tampa Bay. I think they've never got a shot. I think they need to have a stadium downtown, but they definitely got to stay in Florida. I think the team can work. What is going on? There have been kind of weird news here and there. I hear Orlando popping up. I hear downtown. What is the scuttlebutt? And has the talk of them moving settled, faded away and more into discussing what part of Central Florida they're going to call home?
Let's clear some of the noise from the big media. Orlando is not happening. Orlando definitely not happening. Now it's basically between 2 places, either Ybor City, downtown Tampa, or downtown St. Pete, which is where the Tropicana Field is currently. Now, the problem with Tropicana Field is that there's nothing around the stadium. There's not a lot of restaurants. There's not a lot of walking area. There's not, a lot of
It was built in the 80s.
And it was built in the
80s before Camden Yards showed us what to do.
Exactly. The Tampa Bay Lightning played games there, the Ice Palace. So
they called it Thunderdome, right? When they were playing there initially, right?
Exactly. So it's like you said, it's never been given a real option to succeed. Now, it does look like the Rays will be staying in that location, most likely in downtown St. Pete, because of the money that Stu Sternberg is going to be getting from the city and from the parcel of land, the 86 acres, to redevelop is just too good to pass up. When in Tampa, in Hillsborough County, there's not a lot of public funds to fund a stadium. And obviously, if you're a business owner and there's a city that's telling you, hey, here's $400 million, and the other one's telling you, hey, here's $100 million, you're probably going to pick the one that's giving you 400 mil. So, and again, those numbers are arbitrary. But the point given is that it's probably going to be in that same location in St. Petersburg. And they're trying to kind of build what the Atlanta Braves did, like a battery type of thing where you can actually just go there, even if there are no games, and still have a good time and feel that Rays Nation, Rays fandom live there.
So, like, when you say the same place, do you mean like building it like in the parking lot next to? Okay, you know what? My initial reaction, because again, I'm the reason I'm asking you about this is because I want to cut through all the noise. I want to hear some of the things. There is an example of a stadium where there wasn't a lot around it to
Yep.
suddenly there's a lot of stuff around it is Anaheim.
Mhm.
If you look at when the Angels first moved to what was then called Anaheim Stadium, I think it's called Angel Stadium.
Yeah.
Stadiums change sometimes in mid-inning. And uh they I just wish they would go back to being called the California Angels, but what do I know? That area when they first built it was just a sea of concrete
Yep.
with a stadium right in the middle of it. You go down there now, and it's right across. I mean, Disneyland is across the 5 from it. All
Mhm.
right, but you see, they've built a lot of condos. They've built a lot of like there's like restaurants, and you also have the Honda Center where the Ducks play, and other events are, and there's a big theater that's there now.
It's
So
a new thing.
when you
Yeah.
go there now, it feels like okay, there is a big walk up there,
Yeah.
and by the way, the Angels draw very well. The Angels are a very popular team.
Yes. Yeah.
They haven't they haven't added the wins to having the 2 players forged from Mount Olympus and handed to them,
Yeah.
but they do draw very well there. And if the I've been seeing 150,000 artist renderings of here's this in downtown Tampa. Here's this.
Mhm.
There's that one stand that looked like Jabba the Hutt's sail barge from Return of the Jedi. Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, it feels kind of strange because I've been hearing for literally decades that the problem is the stadium's in the wrong place.
Oh, and that's it. I mean, when you look at the radius of population in all 30 stadiums, Tropicana Field is the last. It's the 30th
Yeah.
in radius of population. Because why? Because Dolphins can't go into a stadium. They yet can't physically. The Dolphins can't get out of the water and be a paying customer.
But
They
we're
can't do that.
working on that.
We're working on it slowly. And then also 30-minute drive, again, it's also dead last. So if this is the short but brief and yet brief concise way of saying what I'm about to put down on the stadium. You want more people, you want more attendance, you got to go to Tampa, Ybor City. That's what it's going to be. But there's not a lot of public funds, so then public funds would have to help that situation. You want public funds that are readily available to be spent, but have the same location issue. Then you stay in St. Pete. That's the issue right now. So what is December going to do?
I'll tell you I personally have an issue of public funds being used on a stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that if it's such a great investment, why isn't it privately funded?
Exactly.
And so and again, if I'm proven wrong, I'm proven wrong. And there was rumblings about the Angels moving from Anaheim to they were definitely going to stay in Southern California, but there was talk, should they go to Long Beach? Should they go some other place? And that a lot of that was rumbling when they had changed their name from Anaheim to Los Angeles. Like they were are you trying to remove yourself? And by the way, if you just change it to California, you can move anywhere in the state.
Yeah.
You could go all the way up to practically the border of Oregon, or you go almost to Tijuana. I mean, that gives you could go to Lake Tahoe if you want. It's California. That gives you a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah.
But again, if I'm proven wrong, I'm proven wrong about this. I just am worried that grabbing the public funds, which is something I'm not a big fan of anyway, and then sticking them in roughly the same place.
Yep.
I don't want to see what happened. Here's the great irony: that stadium was built to lure the White Sox in the 80s.
Yep.
And the White Sox instead built next to Comiskey what is now, I don't know what it's called,
guaranteed rate. I think
guaranteed rate.
Yeah.
What they should have done was they should have built a park downtown Chicago, and which they didn't. And they've had issues with their attendance. If in 2005 when they're great, yeah, they draw really well.
Yeah.
But they've not been the big draw that they could have been.
This year they have had the worst turnover in fan attendance per year. The Chicago White Sox. It's been unreal. Look, downtown Tampa, like in Ybor City, it would revitalize.
I mean, part of me is like,
people there.
Put it there.
Exactly. There's more people there. But again, these business owners, they know it. And again, the pro St. Pete people They do say not only that about the funds, but that because you will be building around like a battery type of situation, that will get more people to go, and also that there's not a lot of land in downtown Tampa, in Ybor City, to actually get as much as 86 acres, which they do have at the Trop site.
Well, whatever it is, I hope it works.
I hope
I
so
hope it
too.
works.
I
hope
hope
it
so
works.
too.
I don't want us to be back in 10 years when we're still the hosts of these podcasts talking about, well, you know what, it's the same problem. Well,
Yeah.
it's not a problem doing a crossover with you, Ulises Sambrano. By the way, thanks everyone for making us your first listen. And if you're a Rays fan, check out the games. Where can you hear them?
Oh, you can hear him at Sirius XM.
That's right. And you
Yeah.
could follow this show. You can follow Locked On MLB at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter and Instagram. I am your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Our goal is by the end of the year to have 1 billion subscriptions. We're several hundred million short.
Yes,
But
just a bit. Yeah.
but we're giving a push.
Yeah.
Ulises, where can they follow you?
They can follow me at Sambrano Ulises on Twitter. They can follow the show at Locked On Race. And please, like Sully said, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We actually just crossed 3 weeks ago the 1,000 subscriber line. So we are very proud of that. So hopefully you join us on this historic Tampa Bay Rays season.
All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun on this Memorial Day weekend emergency Sunday drop. That's Ulises Sambrano. My name is Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.